Hello everyone, Turner Burner here with another video for you guys. I'm going to go over Gunner skill cards for Horde and Escape. I don't really like using this class a whole lot for Horde, but I'll give you some tips on what I've seen other players do. And because I don't use this class a lot for Horde as well, I don't remember all the perks necessarily, so again, to make this more interactive for the Horde side of things, because I'm not all that interested. Please leave your opinions, comments down below as far as this class is concerned. But I will go over each individual class in and of itself, or each individual skill card in and of itself. And I do have some Horde gameplay from I believe the last operation that you can see how I utilize this class. But from Operation 4 to Operation 5, there has been no changes. I believe Mulcher Mastery went from 100% to 80%. I believe it's been a while since I've even used this card. But I believe that's the only change as far as this class is concerned, outside of, Clayton's photos not being on it as much or whatever. But long story short, this is a class I've used for a variety of solo runs that I'll put in the comment section. And even though there are no changes, some of you weren't subscribers the last time I made this video, so I'm going to just redo it, and I'll probably have a different spin on it than I did the last video. So let's get right into it. So Gunner. Specializing in heavy weapons, the Gunner is equipped to lay down heavy fire and take hits like no other. The ultimate ability, while active, deflect all ballistic damage back to the enemy. The one of the main exceptions to this is it does not kill a Scion melee. Like if a Scion melees you in your ultimate, it does no damage back to the Scion. But and this goes for Juvies as well. If an elite drone or drone type enemies melee you, they will get downed from their melee. I don't know why this is. I don't know why. But that's just something that the ultimate does. The ultimate can reflect bosses as well. It's very, very good for reflecting the Swarmak as an example. Or the flyers are unreliable because sometimes they'll stop shooting when you activate your ultimate, but that's another story for another video, and that's a bug that they never fixed, unfortunately. But when it does work, it's very good to knock down or get rid of most bosses except for the Matriarch and Carrier. And Snatcher as well, but the ones that have bullets associated with them, Swarmak, Sentinels, Guardian, Kestrel, the Gunner is useful to reflect that. And obviously, bullets from smaller enemies as well. The passive is heal for 50% of heavy weapon damage dealt. This class gets its ultimate very frequently, just, being stationary or sedentary. Or if you're by yourself and you're running a Soul Survivor card. So sometimes you can get heavy weapon hits, like with the salvo, and you can use your ultimate and then get it back almost immediately just from heavy weapon damage. And you could be fighting something, but you can keep giving yourself healing. So what the healing looks like is this, it's like this gold glow, and that's when you know your passive is working. So let's get right into the skill cards. All right, so Reflex Shredder, Reflective Shell does 55% bleeding damage. This helps you kill enemies faster. If it has execution rules, you'll have to go get your down. So this may be less effective for for Horde, but again, you might still need it for those bigger bosses that can be bled out, or even a Mulcher Scion as an example. So it depends on how you play, but for the most part, you almost always want to have this card on. Execution rules, you'll just have to shoot a drop shot or salvo from a distance or boom shot. Heavy Shell, Reflective Shell reflects projectiles for 6 seconds. So projectiles include, I might miss something, but flash grenades, salvo, drop shot, Might be missing something, but those are things that come to my head off the cuff projectiles. And that's tied to your ultimate. So if you don't have that card on and you try to kill a salvo scion using just Reflex Shredder, nothing's going to happen. So you won't die, but besides that, nothing's going to happen. So just keep that in mind for this card. So when you're trying to kill them, you can kill a Mulcher Scion or a Guardian without having this card on. So it depends on the map. For escape specifically, it depends on how you play and what's more relevant. Serrated Edge, Torpo deals 40% bleeding damage. Very good card. I've used this card on a few solo runs on the split. I had the card on for my solo run on the Gatekeepers, even though it never came up because I just chainsawed the Snatcher. But anywho, good card if there's a Torpo available. Trying to think. I think on my solo run on the Barracks, I had this card on as well. So good card to have, and he does the most bleeding damage with the Torque Bow. Higher than Demolitions, higher than Tactician. Heavy capacity, 115% ammo. Heavy ammo capacity. I go over in one of my basic tips videos on how you want to combine heavy weapons. You want to use all. If you have 2 heavy weapons available, you want to use all of one before going to the next one. I'll clip that link in the description as well, due to the fact that you want to maximize the fact that you're getting 115% heavy ammo. So the only one I have memorized is salvo. So if the max capacity of salvo is 20, you can get all the way up to 43 if at level 6. Very good for most situations. Very good horde card and escape card. Soul Survivor is almost a mandatory card if you're doing this class as a solo run. That way you can get your ultimate every 50 seconds or so. So Reflective Shell recharges at 320% when you are the only one there. I'm sure people can use it for other contexts if they have teammates they think will die. But for the most part, I only have this card on for solo runs. Epic Score Boost, increased team score and horde, increased time bonus escape. Mulcher Mastery, increased Mulcher damage. Really not much to it. You get a Mulcher, you do more damage with it. Team Resist, Reflective Shell reduces damage by 95% to allies for 6 seconds. During the duration of the ultimate, you get 95% damage resist. I believe the ultimate's 6 seconds. It doesn't matter how close you are to Gunner, but you will get that necessary damage resistance if you need it. Ultimate Battery, ultimate cooldown for nearby allies reduced by 0.35 per hit. This is if you're using, and this is why Gunner comes up a lot in score runs, and I'll post some of those links as well. So if Gunner is, if you're within 10 meters according to the card, it's best that you're just almost borderline right next to me. That way you can pick me up immediately, or as Gunner. But if you're within 10 meters and Gunner's getting hit a lot, you're going to get your ultimate frequently. So that's a strategy I've used on the Barracks. A ton of maps, really, where if Gunner goes down, it helps your teammates get down. Now, granted, this card doesn't, as far as the exact meaning of this card, doesn't make a lot of sense. As far as so a Juvie melees me down, it does less ultimate cooldown than if a sniper gets me down. So I believe, based off of my experience with this card, it'll depend on the weapon. If it's a Scion melee, I get really good ult charge. If it's even a drone melee, I get really good ult charge. But certain enemies don't do as well as others. So just to keep that in mind when you are using this class. Okay, so Bait Armor, but this is a good, so just go back to Ultimate Battery. This is a good class if you want to get both of your teammates to have their ultimate. It used to be, Gunner's passive, damage you take, cooldowns the ultimate, but now it's the passive is something different. So Gunner can only help his teammates get his ultimate. And as a side note, Gunner, if you have 2 Gunners on your team, they can help each other get their ultimates if they're both running ultimate battery. And that's another link I'll post down in the description as well. Bait Armor, probably my favorite card for this class because I'm very big on damage resistance cards. 10% damage resistance per hit, taken up to 60%. I find this a lot really useful for maps that have like shot drones or shot grenadiers, because sometimes if you're a lower health character, the shock chain from your teammates can get you down. So this can prevent that, and so the more hits you take, the more damage resistance you'll take for the subsequent hits. That's the best way I can explain it. So even on Venom Rhyme, when I have a video comparing different defensive classes, according to Lasting and Venom, this is the second best card available compared to this card for Gunner and Rear Armor for Pilot are the two best individual skill cards in terms of Venom resistance, and they're not even explicitly stated as Venom resistance, as is Mac and Lonnie's card. So just keep that in mind as well. Concussive, in Operation 3, you could just stun a swarm mat cross map. In hindsight, it was very overpowered, as much as I don't like using that term. But now it's under 15 meters away, which is still a reasonable distance. You just got to be a little bit more closer. So 3.2 second stun with explosives, so like salvo, drop shot, frags. So you can do damage on the enemy. So it's like a flashbang that does damage. So another really, really good card to have. And you can also, for score run purposes, you can also meat shield after you give the stun. Grace period, 5 seconds of immunity on revival. You're immortal. You get downed, you get immortal after going down. Good card to have. Probably I know a lot of you like speed runs, but for those speed runs on the surge or whatever, this could be a good card to have. That way you get immortal when you get up. Heavy Charger, heavy hits, reduce ultimate cooldown and multiples of 0.014 seconds. I think this is one of the weaker cards of this class. The class gets its ult pretty fast anyway, so a card of this nature isn't really. If the card was a slow ult charge, maybe, but I don't find this card that useful. But it will help you a little bit get your ultimate a little bit faster. Heavy Deflect, 32% heavy weapon resistance for you and nearby allies. On the Last Stand score run, our number one time, I've used this card to help my teammates get less damage from Mulcher Scions, because there's a lot of Mulcher Scions in the Last Stand. So that is one of the main reasons why you'd use it. And it would likely save you a little bit for Mulcher Scions. Again, I go back to the salvo. It's doubtful it'll do anything. But for the Mulcher or even Tri-Shot Guardian, it probably will give you some time to take cover and heal. Blast Shield, 32% explosive resistance for you and nearby allies. Maybe if you stack these two together, you can save yourself from a Sentinel Blast. I haven't done it in a very long time. But theoretically, you should get 64% damage resistance if it's like a salvo shot. So theoretically, you should be able to, I wouldn't say absorb, but you should be able to take at least one hit from a Sentinel. Or even, so like if it's Horde, a Boom Shot Scion. So yeah, these class, if on Onslaught, that's another context it'd be useful. So, because there can be salvo signs before now to save from. So it just depends on what your priority with this class is. There's a lot of different options with this class. This is probably the most versatile class in the game relative to the amount of skill cards and what you can do with each combination. So that's what's going to make this class overall, and I'm getting a little sidetracked, this class overall going to be tough to decide, what's best for you. You just kind of have to do trial and error with different combinations relative to how you want to play. Flash Freeze, Cryo Cannon freezes 200% faster. I've seen this concept really, really good on the line to freeze Scions and then headshot them. Very, very good card. I've seen it also freeze a Swarmac very, very fast as well. Freeze resist, 95% freeze reduction in freezing speed. So if you combine Flash Freeze, Cryo Cannon freezes 10% faster with freeze resist, you can 1v1 Ice Scion on the line, and he'll try to freeze you, you'll try to freeze it, and you will win. It's actually hilarious to see, but you'll win. You'll win that battle with the Ice Scion. So, anywho. Grab Magnet, headshots taunt enemies for 7 seconds. This is probably, this and Heavy Charger, one of the weaker cards of this class. There's so many better cards of this class. I mean, I'm sure there's instances where you'll get headshots as Gunner, which will help you. Grub Magnet will allow the enemies to be distracted from your teammates so they don't take enemy fire. But by the same token, there's just better cards for this class. So again, you can try it just to see how it goes. But again, superior, there's 10 more superior cards better than this one. Phoenix Armor, 30% stem on revive from down but not out. So when a teammate revives you from down but not out, you receive 30% stem. How this card used to read was, I believe if you started a game, that was the only time you can get the stem. So basically you'd have it at the beginning of the game and that was it. So now you actually get it on revival. So this combined with Grace Period can be a good combination for people who like speedruns. Practice every day, 30% faster reload and bypass reloading during ultimate. This ultimate is so short that this is hard to justify. It may be longer, or I forget the exact time it is in horror, but it's way too short an escape to even consider. So don't use this card. That's my advice. Team score, increase team score in horror, increase time bonus in escape. Tank synergy, 30% damage resistance for gunner and pilot when near. So if this card used to say Uncle Clay, so basically it was for Lizzie and Clayton. So if gunner and pilot are near each other, they get damage resistance. So theoretically, there could be a context where you're stacking heavy deflect, blast shield, and tank synergy. And if you have the right combinations of cards and classes, you might be immortal to certain types of enemies. I haven't tested it, but it wouldn't surprise me with all the way the percentages are working if you're, pretty close to having immortality, because they stack up to being 92%. So basically, heavy deflect, blast shield, and tank synergy of gunner and pilot are near each other. They would have 92% damage resistance from a sentinel shot, which in that concept, you should definitely be able to survive at least 2 shots. But anyway, I'm sure that's not the case, but I haven't actually tested it, so I don't really know for a fact. But anytime you can if you have a pilot and gunner on the same team, consider discussing with that pilot or gunner, depending on what class you are, if you want to run this to get more damage if you guys are going to be near each other. So that's pretty much it, guys, for gunner's class. I'll go over what my escape class or escape stack is, I should say. I really don't use this class a whole lot anymore, but I'll go over my escape stack. So heavy capacity, ultimate battery. I was doing a score run probably on the split. This is probably the last time I used this class. So heavy capacity, ultimate battery, bait armor. You could use serrated edge. You could use concussive. Soul Survivor, it's a solo run. It just depends on the context of the map, what you think is best for Clayton or for your playing styles. So for, and let me get that set up real quick. So for my solo run I'll do the solo run on the split as an example stack, I suppose. So for the solo run on the split, what I did was, because I was dealing with, where is Heavy Shell? I was dealing with Sentinels, Guardians, Deadeyes, not Peacemakers, drones, elite drones. Because of the enemies I was dealing with, this is the card stack I want to run. So Heavy Shell for the Sentinels, specifically Reflex Shredder, also for the Sentinels, Guardians to get them bleeding. And all enemies, concussive, so I can stun the Sentinels if I need to. Soul Survival, so I can get my ultimate more often. And then Bait Armor, that way, because there's a regen penalty on that map, so this allowed me to get damage resistance, while dealing with that regen penalty. So that's going to be my example stack for escape. I'll let you guys put down, because I haven't used this in Horde in so long. I'll let you guys put down in the comment section what you think is the best stack, or why you think or your stack is the best for Horde, because I think a lot of you guys know Horde way more than I do. Like I used to do the stun build, which was stun, the Swarm from a distance. But like I said, I think it's nice to get your feedback on the Horde side of things because of how infrequent I play it. So, but anyways, that is what my example is for Escape. If you have any questions on, or anything I misspoke on, because I am not perfect, but if you have any questions, comments, comment down below. As usual, thanks for listening, guys, and thanks for watching, and you guys have a good one. Peace.